Hi there and welcome to the November episode of the Redden District Fisheries Feedback. We're filming today from the hut at Farnham Flint, as you can see behind me, because it's a bloody sight warmer than the hatchery and we're definitely in the middle of a bit of a cold snap. We've got a lot of news for you. It's been a very, very busy month and obviously we're going to have our usual features and competitions, so time to crack on with it. So, fisheries report, Del, but more like saving our fisheries report.
Yeah, it's been fisheries managers' sort of worst nightmare the last few weeks. Not good.
Tell us about it. We ended up with a 3-week fishery closure,
Oh, blimey, where do you start? I mean, I think most people are pretty aware we've had some really weird weather. You know, Spain getting flooded and this, that and the other, and Northern Europe being stuck in this sort of doldrums of high pressure. And yeah, our fisheries have started to sort of suffer, and a lot of it all boils down to, at this time of the year, leaves are falling off the trees and weeds starting to die back, and what then puts the extra oxygen back into the system, if you like, are big winds. And I mean, I always say that you always get big winds at the tail end of autumn, which takes the leaves off the trees, and then you always get big winds early spring, which then takes all the dead wood off. Well, we haven't had them big winds.
No. Well, it's 3 weeks. The country was in flat calm, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really bizarre, and it was countrywide. I mean, I've heard of fisheries right from the south coast all the way up to, you know, Lincoln and beyond, that have suffered in pretty much the same way as we have. So it's not unique to us. But yeah, so if you call Cottage Lane and you sort of have the lakes individually, we had 8 lakes that had DO crashes.
So let's just go through them. So 4 at Cottage Lane.
Yeah. Callows, Wilmots, Farnham Flint, and Engerfield Lagoon.
And Brownlee.
And Brownlee.
Yeah.
That's 9.
But Wilmots has got the aerator, so it was all right, yeah?
Yes, yeah. Wilmots was okay because we sort of kept that going. Although it was low, it sort of managed to keep it up.
So how bad did it get in?
Well, fish start to struggle anything below about 4 parts per million. We were getting 1.8 on Farnham Flint. So it was really close, really close. Cottage Lane fluctuates a lot anyway. I think we got down to about 2.1, something like that in there. But they were all well below 3.
So we'll show a bit of video now of what you guys did, because as I understand it, you and Jim worked basically 12 days. You had the camper van down here, you were keeping here overnight, because you have to keep refueling the pumps.
Yes.
So you had pumps working in which lakes?
Well, we started off, we had pumps in Farnham Flint, we had aeration in Brownlee, and we had 2 pumps going continuously in Cottage Lane for the first 3 days. We then dropped that. Also what we were doing in those first 3 days is we were supplementing callows with sodium bicarbonate, which I've got a little video that if anyone wants to have a look at that, so we were pumping that into there. We had the 2 pumps on Cottage Lane because we had to bring that round really quickly. Engerfield, we've only got a certain amount of kit, like anybody. Engerfield being a big, wide open sort of lake, and it's low stock. So that was sort of the poor relation, if you like. So we had to prioritise where we were going to put our kit. So we put 2 in Cottage Lane for the first 3 days, and then once things started to pick up, we pulled one of those off and put that onto Brownlee. Then we actually purchased another pump and we stuck that onto Callows. So at the bulk of the time we had pumps at Cottage Lane, Callows, Brownlee, and the huge great big thing that I'm sure everyone's seen their photos of on Farnham Flint. So they all needed topping up. The big one wasn't so bad. The big one, that would run for probably 4 days without having to top that up. That wasn't too bad, although boy did that drink some diesel. But the smaller pumps, they last 4 hours, maybe 5 hours if you're lucky. So we were taking it in turns. Jim spent a night down here, I spent the following night down here, and we were just rotating like that, and we were doing sort of like a 9:30 top up, and then the worst one, which was the 3 o'clock in the morning one. That was a killer, because it was okay getting up at 3, that wasn't a problem, and going round it was great, but of course then you're awake, and you could not get back to sleep. So yeah, that was a killer.
Well, you did a great job. So let's just run through the fish losses that we got. But in order to put this in context, people need to understand that advanced angling, interesting title, have got they had fish losses from their
I mean,
lots.
Stracies
had terrible fish losses down in Tadley, and a lot of other clubs as well. But so what have we lost?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some horror stories, some proper horror stories. We lost 3 fish, 2 doubles and a fish of low 20s out of Cottage Lane, and we lost a single solitary pike out of Farnham Fleet.
And so, nothing out of Callows, nothing out of Wilmers, nothing out of Brownleys, nothing out of Engie?
No. So I think we caught it about right. Credit must go to the guy, I don't know what his name is, but he knows who he is. On the Thursday, he popped into the hut and said, I think there might be something wrong with the fish up in Cottage Lane. I've been trying to catch them and they don't want to know, da-di-da-di-da-di-da, which sort of alerted us. So credit needs to go to him, because we can't be everywhere all at once.
No.
So, you know, that sort of spurred us into action. But the key thing with this, like any DO crash, is you've got to scramble your kit, and you've got to have kit. You know, it's no good spending thousands and thousands of pounds on platforms and fish and God knows what else, and you haven't got any contingency plans for when things do go wrong, because they do go wrong.
Well, I've agreed nationally with the Angling Trust that we're going to do a seminar for clubs and fishery managers in January. You very kindly agreed to give a presentation, because a lot of this stuff is avoidable.
Oh yeah.
And you know, for the want of a few £100, you can have the right kit and the right knowledge. So
and you can be the best fishery in the whole wide world. You will still. I mean, I constantly say this. I say this to all the students and everything that we take along, and this, that, and the other. The minute you think you've got it sussed, nature will chuck you a curveball. So you know, you've got to prepare for that. Unfortunately, you know, we're in a position where we are prepared for it, and we can scramble stuff fairly quickly.
Well, that's excellent, and you know, and well played, Jim, as well. I know he worked really hard with you during those months.
He did, yeah.
And so that's great. So that's obviously put a few things behind. Have you managed to get yourself down to Wiley's?
Wiley's is becoming a real thorn. We had a bit of time there early doors of the month, and we were going great guns. Of course, then this happened, so it was sort of drop everything, and this became our, you know, first and foremost.
And now you've got the floods.
And now we've got floods. So yes, it's tedious to say the least, but we are absolutely committed to getting that done for spring. We are, come hell or high water, we will have that wire up before Christmas, and then it will mean going round and sort of titivating it up, really. But it will be open for the spring.
So there you go. You will be fishing Wiley's at spring, people. So that's great. And lastly, I mean, I know Jim was going to announce Friday club dates last month, but you've got no chance with the oxygen crash. When are we going to start?
Yeah, well, again, because we're now sort of 2-3 weeks behind. What we're going to do is first week of January. I don't know what the date is.
January 3rd.
January 3rd. So January 3rd, we will have our first Friday club. What we're hoping to do is basically give Wilmot's a bit of a haircut. Some of the swims are sort of getting encroached, but not from the bank, because we keep the bank clear. It's sort of like in water sort of stuff. So we'll have to close the venue for the day, because people will be wading around in rubber. So so Friday the 3rd of Jan.
Okay, so put that in your diaries. There'll be announcements in the usual places, and it'll be every Friday then up until the end of the season. So it'd be good to get the Friday club going, because we've got a lot of keen volunteers out there. Yeah. So thanks for that. Anything else you want to bring people up to date with?
Blimey, I think that just about covers it, to be fair. I'd like to sort of thank everybody for their support and understanding. it's very, you know, I mean, we're shutting fisheries that people have paid to fish, you know, so we do apologise. However, you know, this has caught us blindside, and I really appreciate the understanding from everybody.
Well, Del, I have to say, I think the reaction that we've had from the membership on our Facebook post has been Facebook page has been fantastic, and in marked contrast to some of the whining I've seen on other pages.
Yeah, I mean,
our members do get it.
Yeah, and I think communication's a big key in all of this. Is, you know, we tell the truth. We're not trying to hide anything. We'll tell you the truth, warts and all, and I think people appreciate that. So yeah, thank you very much for everybody that's supported us.
So on that note, we have another announcement which we're not allowed to make, are we?
No, little teaser.
A little teaser. Okay, so all we're going to say is we're feeling a bit smug and a bit pleased with ourselves. Everybody associated with Redden District can also feel a bit smug and a bit pleased with themselves come December the 10th, when it will become public.
Yep.
But the message simply is, go and buy the Angling Times on December the 10th, people, and feel very, very proud that you're a member of Redden District Angling Association. And we've even made a little thank you video which we'll be showing on that day. But we can't say any more, can we?
No, we best not.
There we go. That's the teaser for you.
They might take something away from us.
Okay, right, Del, let's move on to fishing pictures of the month.
Yep.
So we'll play the gallery and then we'll have a chat. Well, Dale, last month Jim advised people to go fishing for pike and chub.
Yes.
And they certainly did.
Oh, yes.
And there's some nice ones. A few to pick out, I think, from that gallery, which is a right old mixed bag.
Yeah.
But I'll give you an opportunity first to bang the grading drum. Mick Dedman has excelled himself. Not only is he catching grading from the river, he's actually catching from the bloody canal now.
Yeah, I think he really needs to take up game fishing, because he seems to catch as many game fish as he does coarse fish. I mean, the canal at Thiel has got a bit of toe on it, actually.
Yeah, they must have
so
got
I'm
that
not.
in the main river,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sort of completely unsurprised that he caught one there, but what a fish that is. I mean, look at that.
No, that's certainly big enough to give us lots of little baby grading as well.
Oh, yes.
Let's just flip through these. I don't normally put up a bag shot, but I just wanted to remind people what a good venue Southstoke is. So this is Glengavin. Only had a couple of hours down there. Look, it's lovely quality road.
It's a nice one. What I call good ants, sort of.
Well, yeah, we put the landing net under a few of those.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So when that Thames drops, Southstoke, get down there. There's some lovely roach fishing to be had, and great pike that have come out. I'm very pleased to see Steve Preston with another nice pike.
Yeah.
And then Pete Smith, that's another nice one from Sonny Eye.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, for years and years, and I'm going to use the word doldrums again, sort of pike fishing locally has been a bit in the doldrums, and it goes in cycles. And there's some nice pike being caught now.
Well, look at this one. It was the last one I put on the gallery. I mean, it's a bit of a rubbish picture on the mat there, with due respect to Robert. But that's a lure caught 19 from Pin.
Yeah.
That's a decent. That's going to be a 20. That's going to be 20 in February.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, another couple of sprats, and that'll be a 20-pounder.
Just a thank you from me for all those Redden District members that earlier last month that came up to London on the big 15,000 march that we had for clean water. There's Andy Dodd being Wolfie Smith there, and I said, good old Rob Tibble.
Yeah, exactly.
Rob Tibble, he likes to protest us, Rob. But anyway, it's now down to you to pick the November fishing picture of the month. So what one have you gone for?
Well, I mean, apologies to everybody, but for me, it's a non-competition. There's just one, and that's young Robin Foster. I mean, what a fantastic photo that is. I mean, I think the yellow dungarees are the clincher myself, but yeah, that's what Redden District is all about.
Well, I had a feeling when that picture came in that was going to be the one you were going to choose. Yeah. She looked so happy, and congratulations, Robin. So what does Robin win?
Well, Robin, you have got a sort of course pack. It's got some ground baits in it, some pellets in it. Unfortunately, there's no lure gear in there or pike gear in there, but but there's plenty of stuff to be, seeing you through the sort of springtime, courtesy of Rod Hutchinson and Bait Tech. So, and obviously the hat as well. So just give us a message, let us know when you're around, and I'll make sure it's in the hut.
Thanks very much for that, Del. Now we come to the bit that I get to choose, which is the fish of the month. We had two entries this month. One was a shocking great barbel, and one was another lovely Thames perch. That was Daniel Zalavovic with a 44 centimetre perch from the Thames. Daniel is an exceptionally good lure angler, an exceptionally good Thames angler, but I'm afraid, Daniel, for the second month running, you've been pipped at the post, this time by a shocking great 17 pound 3 ounce Kennet barbel from Colin Hawkins. Colin we know well, he fishes the lower river for the barbel.
Yep.
Hell of a fish, Del. I mean, you predicted a couple of months ago we were going to get 17 this side of Christmas.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing: when that picture came through, I contacted George Batsford, who won the overall prize last year with that wonderful 17 pound barbel from Seal, and I said, "Is that the same fish?" And he said, "Absolutely not."
Yeah.
So we have at least two 17 pound barbels swimming around in our waters.
Yeah, and I'd argue there's a couple more.
There probably is. Well, some of those 16 pounders that that we saw a couple of months ago, 15, 16 pounders we saw, I mean, they're going to get there by the back end of the season, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's these bigger fish. They're lazy. They tend to fish the slower waters, sort of venues, and you don't get traditional sort of barbel anglers fishing those sort of slower areas, so they don't come out very often. But little tip for the winter: if someone wants a big fish, fish the slower areas.
Deeper venues. Yeah. No, I get that. Well, congratulations, Colin. Get in touch. There's a nice trophy coming your way, and as ever, a £50 Angling Direct voucher. So we're delighted with yet another exceptional fish to go on our gallery. Right, I think that's a wrap up for that section. We just need to hear from Jim now on the fishing prospects for the month of December. Well, Jim, December. I mean, winter's come early, hasn't it? We've had the frost, we've had 2 lots of floods.
Yeah, we've certainly had the frost. There's been a couple of mornings that have been sort of down to sort of -2s, and we're actually getting it sort of in the evening, so it's consistently through the night. So yeah, we're certainly getting this cold weather come through now. So
what's that going to mean for some of our river venues then?
Well, some of our river venues, I'd say that the pike and the chub, they're going to be really on the feed, but especially with the cold weather, you need to keep an eye on these gauges as well. When these rivers are dropping out, and look at the temperatures as well, that's a massive difference on the Thames. the temperatures can fluctuate quite quickly this sort of time of year. We've seen that when we've been testing the dissolved oxygen recently, that sort of even on small little lakes you can get one corner of the lake is 7.2 degrees and literally 100 yards away you've got sort of 6.2, so that sort of slight change in temperature, so you need to be looking out for that and fish these sort of mild evenings if you can.
I mean, I would certainly say the Loddon should come into better nick now. It always suffers from loads and loads of bottom weed in the late summer. That should have all gone now.
Yeah,
so
that's it, yeah.
I think certainly Wisley Mill's got to be worth a go for the chub, hasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah, especially once you sort of had a good sort of couple of days of downpour, and if you just wait a day or so after that, once that river's dropping away and starting to get that sort of bit of clearness back to it, and that colour's dropping away, it can be a great time to be up there.
So we've got chub fishing. Obviously, we've got the Thames is completely knocked out as we speak, but hopefully it'll be in good condition. Kennet's coming into better condition now. I see Jem Fox has been out and had some nice chub already. So we've got good chub options there. Good chub options on the Loddon. Obviously, with the exchange tickets, we've got the opportunity to fish the Blackwater or some of the civil service waters. If people really want, and the river drops a bit further, we can use that. They can go up to Northmore on the Upper Thames, or even take out the South Cerney ticket.
Yes,
and they've got loads of the Upper Thames.
And some nice sort of tributaries coming in as well.
Absolutely,
so it's always a place to be fishing up there.
So lots of opportunities. What about the pike fishing?
Pike fishing, I've seen quite a few sort of guys before we had the DO crash, that sort of first week in the season, they're running around with their lure rods, and I think guys are catching quite consistently. I think, again, with this cold snap we're getting, if you need to sort of have a wander around with your lure rods, and if you're picking up fish in certain areas, keep that in your head, because they'll be there again next year. There's always sort of, I've seen a sort of, there was a chap who put a post on our Facebook page a couple of weeks ago saying, oh, thanks to the carp angler, let me jump in the swim after, and I think he caught 7 in a couple of hours there, and he'd walked the whole lake, but it was just they were confined into one sort of area. So the bait fish are moving in there, the pike and the perch are going to follow.
Talking of perch, of course, they're targets on the rivers when they're in conditions, but they're good target fish for our canal sections as well.
Yeah, certainly are. Yeah, and obviously the canals, and also these confluence sort of sections as well. Anywhere you've got sort of a bit of a backwater coming in, meeting a canal, anywhere around those sort of confluences can be good, because a lot of those silvers are dropping out of those sort of backwater and those faster sections and wanting to sit in those big slacks. So yeah, I'd say your best tip for this month is find them big slacks for your chub, your barbel, your pike, your perch. Get in those big slack areas, and sometimes you don't need to be more than a foot off the bank.
Thanks very much, Jim.
Good luck, everyone.
Well, that's it for this month. I hope you found it interesting and informative. We're on the run up to Christmas with the December weather. Who knows what that's going to bring, but we hope you catch some great fish out there. So have a really successful fishing month. Have a great break. Have a really successful new year. Tight lines, everyone.